Yeah, today I've got an announcement, and then I'm going to be closing in prayer. But because of this announcement, that's why my sermon was so short today. Don't laugh too much, Kevin. Okay. No, but in all seriousness, I do have an announcement that I knew eventually the time would come that this announcement would need to be made. But let me start it off this way. The last couple of years, the elders of this church, we've been having more meetings and longer meetings than at any other time since the church had started. And the reason why is because we want the health of the church. That is always in the forefront of our mind in any decisions. And we don't want to do knee-jerk reaction type decisions. We want them to be well thought out. We want to be proactive. That's another way of saying it, not reactive, and especially when it comes to things that you can clearly see that are on the horizon and are approaching, then the prudent thing would be, to engage proactive measures in order to be ready for that. All right, I say all that to say that what I'm talking about here is a succession plan, okay? And that concerns me. One of the things that since the church started 26 years ago, I eventually knew that there would come a time when I would not be the lead pastor of this church, but that was always way out there, right? When I hired Brad Fogo 13 years ago or so, this was a conversation that I had with Brad. So this is something I've been talking out loud about in certain settings, for 13 years now. In more recent time, the last couple of years, it's been something that, has involved several meetings. The eldership has kind of linked ourselves up with a Christian organization called Slingshot, which can help us in helping to define and nail down who we are as a church and what we're looking for, as far as a future lead pastor in the church. We wanted to be very deliberate, very intentional in that process. And so that's the reason for all these meetings and everything over the last couple of years that we've been having. We're not ready for any announcement of, okay, here is the person, but, that sort of thing could happen. At some point, here approaching, whether that be measured by weeks or months, we don't know the details on that yet. But we felt that the thing we ought to do right now is go ahead and share this with you. The plan is this is a transition, and it's kind of on a timeline, that when someone is brought in who is being looked at as being the person who will become the lead pastor, the primary teaching and preaching pastor of the church, is when they come in, it won't be immediate just like that, but it will be stretched out over a time period, and it really depends on, their experience and a number of factors. And so let me just use as an example 18 months. So let's say we bring someone in that's going to serve in this role. I will continue to be the lead pastor and the primary teacher. But we'll start working in this person, say maybe, for the first 2 or 3 months, 25% of the time to preach, while I preach 75% of the time. Then it'll transition to 50-50. Then it'll transition to 25-75. And it'll be a gradual thing that'll be spread out. And it's not just the teaching, but there are so many other things in regards to the leadership of the church too that, will be going on outside of Sunday morning, that bringing this individual up to speed and all. But the goal then will be at a certain point in time, given my illustration, 18 months, at a certain point in time, then that person will become the primary teacher and preacher in this church, and they will become the lead pastor. What about me? I'm not leaving. I'm still going to be here, okay? But this kind of answers another question that some of you have felt like you've received answers on in the past. Some of you, when I've tried to give answers to in the past, since Brad Fogel's retirement. Some of you kind of look at me like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but you're really not answering the question that I'm asking. Well, this time you're going to hear the answer. It's at that time, I am going to become Mr. Fogo. Okay. Yeah. I'm getting numerous responses like, what did he just say? And others are like, no way, you couldn't do it. Yeah, I'm going to be stepping in the role. One of the primary responsibilities Brad Fogo had was pastoral care, and like that will be. I mean, I did that the first 13 years of the church, but then Brad, took that off my plate. Well, that will be something that I'll be taking back along with some other things. But I will be an associate pastor. I will no longer be the lead pastor in the church when that transition is complete. Okay? So anyway, just kind of letting you in on what is happening. Feel free to talk to me. You can talk to any of the elders, Brad Fogo, Bob Higginbotham, Gary Roberts, Chris Harry, any of us five you can talk to and ask whatever questions that you have. But we wanted today to be able to share these details with you, knowing they're being live streamed as well. And so after this morning, everybody has an opportunity to know. So now there's no behind the scenes stuff that we're working on and gearing up for. But this is a very intentional thing for the health of the church, being proactive, not being reactive. The last thing we wanted was for there to be and have the need for, we need to get someone to plug this spot, an interim pastor. And then we scramble real quick to try to find someone that can come in and be the lead pastor. That is not the healthiest approach. And that's why we're taking this approach. There's more than one reason why now is the right time for that. Health is part of the factor in all of this, but there's more. There's more than that as to why we're doing this now. Okay? So that's the plan.